Hello friends, welcome to the next session under machine learning lecture series. Today we'll talk about again k-nearest neighbors classifier, but previous examples what we took about k and classifier were binary classifiers, right? We had only two class labels, but here we'll talk about multiple labels. And previous examples we created our own data set, right? The two examples what I took, both we created our own data set. Here we'll see how do we use the data set which is already existing on the internet. Fine. So let us start with the lecture. So before starting, let's see what are the steps in this classification. The very first thing is we are doing text classification. Okay. So very first thing is data set preparation. So data set preparation, what it does the process of loading a data set and performing basic pre-processing. You already know what is pre-processing. Last time in the previous lecture we have seen, we remove the stop words, we remove the spaces, right? We do the normalization like lemmatizing of the words and all. The data set is then split into train and validation sets, right? That is train and test sets, right? The second step what we have is feature engineering. So in feature engineering, the raw data set is transformed into flat features which can be used in machine learning model. Right? So what does it mean? Feature engineering, what we do is we convert our existing data into the form what machine can understand. That is in numerical form. Right? And then the third step, what we have is the model training. So the final step is model building, in which a machine learning model is trained on a labeled data set because it's a supervised machine learning algorithm. We already have a labeled data set using which we'll be training our model. Right? And the last thing is what improving the performance of the classifier. So here what we do is usually we fine tune the parameters so that we get accurate result. Fine. Okay. Now, here we'll be doing the text classification using 20 news groups dataset. It's already available on the internet. So it is a collection of approximately 20,000 news groups documents partitioned evenly across 20 different news groups. That means there are 20 class labels and the dataset size is 20,000 records. Fine. And it is one of the most popular data set for text classification actually. So here we'll use built-in data set loader for 20 news groups from scikit-learn. Fine. Scikit-learn library we already know. They used it in both the previous examples. So in order to get faster execution time, what we'll do is we'll consider only partial data set with only 4 categories out of the 20 available in the data set. So instead of using all the 20 class labels, for our practical purpose right now, we'll consider only 4 class labels, right? The first thing is what? We'll install the scikit-learn, right? And scikit-learn we already know, right? It consists of mainly classification models, regression analysis, image recognition, data reduction, etc. Okay. So very first thing is to install this scikit-learn. Simply use the pip install. Now here you can see the messages because I've already installed it. So I get such messages, right? You may get, you may not get the message. So don't worry about it. So after you finish installing the scikit-learn, right? The next step what we have is we'll be installing our dataset. Right? Now, we know the data set size is quite big, but we are reducing it only to 4 categories. So we need to define what are those 4 categories what we'll be using for our model. So first we define the categories as atheism, religion, computer graphics, social media. Fine, it is something related to. These are the 4 categories what we'll be using to train our model, right? So now, once I define the categories, I should select only those records from the data set which has this category, right? So I import the data set directly. You can import, remember, it will, the sklearn will directly get this data for you from the internet. No need to give any path, nothing. Just directly say import fetch 20 news groups. Now what we need is we need to create our training data. As we are not using the whole data itself, what we are doing is we are using part of it and we are naming it as train, and What data it should have? It should have the data which has these class labels. What are these class labels? Here we already mentioned, right? So these 4 class labels, we are saying select the data which has this as a class labels, right? Is it fine? And then next what we are doing is we are saying shuffle is equal to true, right? And then we are saying random state is equal to 42. Now, shuffling is useful if we wish to select only a subset of samples to quickly train a model and get a very good idea about the results before we start training the whole model on the whole data set, right? So we are picking up a sample of the data set, so we are using shuffling, fine. And this random number, now this is to check and validate the data when running the code multiple times, right? Because we'll not be executing it once, many times we execute the code, right? So setting random state a fixed value will guarantee that the same sequence of random numbers is generated each time we run the code, right? So randomly we are selecting the data. So every time our data set will remain same. It will not change. So we have fixed the number there. Fine. Next. Now, let's see our data is already loaded, right? So the return data set, what we are loaded is a simple holder object which fields that can both be accessed as Python dictionary keys or object attribute, right? So the target names holds the list of requested category names. You can just see, if I just put 20 train.target names, it will give me all those 4 categories what we had selected, fine. Even I can check the length, like how big is my data set. So it is having 2,257 records, right, out of 20,000. Even you can use the file names also, right? The file names themselves are loaded in the memory in the data attribute. For reference, the file names are also available. So even if I say train.file name, it will give me the count as same 2,257. Fine. Now let's first check what my data set contains, right? So let's first print the first line of my training data set, right? So here I'm saying train data, the first set, that is 0th index, right? And I'm printing the 3 columns in it. So this is what it will print, what my first line of the data set contains, right? And even this is the data. And if I want to see what is the category associated, what is the class level associated with the data, so I can even say 20 train dot target name, right? Again, of the first record, right? 0th index, 0th index. So what it is printing? It is printing computer graphics. Is it fine? So printing the first line of the data and the class label of that data, we could do it successfully. Fine. Now, in the case of the category names, right? What we have done is what it has done is it has converted into numeric value, right? So the category is the name of the news group, which also happens to be the names of the folder holding the individual documents, right? For speed and space efficiency reasons, what this scikit-learn does, it loads the target attribute as an array of integers. You can see it is an array of integers that corresponds to the index of the category name in the target names. So you can just see here category name and this is the index. You see computer graphics is mapped to 1, social religion is mapped to 3, and social media is mapped to 2. Fine. So the category integer ID of each sample is stored in the target attribute. So you can see it has integer as well as the names already available. Fine. Okay. Now, next let's start extracting the features from the text file. Now the training text data is already ready. So in order to perform the machine learning on text documents, we first need to turn the text content into numerical feature vectors. Right? Vectors is nothing but a matrix. In simple language, it's a matrix. Right? Now, tokenizing text with scikit-learn is the first step. What we do, tokenizing is breaking it into smaller pieces, maybe into words, maybe into sentences, maybe into characters. Fine. Now, text preprocessing, tokenizing, and filtering of stop words are all included in our count vectorizer, which builds a dictionary of features and transforms documents to a feature vectors. Right? So this count vectorizer does all these things for the text preprocessing is done by it. Right? Now, count vectorizer also supports counts of n-grams of words or consecutive characters. Now, what do you mean by n-grams? Suppose I have a sentence, I love Python. If I say n-gram, then I say 2 gram, then it can be I love, it can be love Python, right? Two words. If I say 3 grams, then it will have consecutive 3 words, right? Consecutive 3 words. That is nothing but n grams. Now, the index of a word in a vocabulary is linked to its frequency in the whole training corpus. Fine. What will be using now, right? So feature extraction is easy due to this count vectorizer. So it's a matrix notation of the data set in which every row represents a document from the corpus. Now corpus is nothing but the whole data set, right? Every column represents a term from the corpus and every cell represents the frequency count of a particular term in a particular document. Fine. So it's a row by column. It's a cell which is an index of intersection of row and column. So here you can see we have from sklearn, we have imported the count vectorizer, right? We created a object of this count vectorizer as count vect, right? And now the trained data set is converted into this numeric vector. So we have named it as xtrain counts, right? So this is conversion. We have called it as fit, fine. And xtrain count shape gives you the dimension of the conversion what has been carried out. Now this counting is good, but it is a problem when you go for longer documents. So the longer documents will have higher average count values than shorter documents, even though they might talk about the same topic. So what we do to avoid this discrepancy, it suffices to divide the number of occurrences of each word in a document by the total number of words in the document. Again, I repeat, divide the number of occurrences of each word in a document by the total number of words in the document. Now, this feature we call it as term frequency. This feature we call it as term frequency. Another refinement for this is what we do is term frequency. What we do is we downscale weights for words that occur in many documents in the corpus and are therefore less informative than those occur only in smaller portion of the corpus. Right? So what we do is we downscale it. So downscaling is called TF-IDF, that is term frequency times inverse document frequency. Now, TF-IDF score represents the relative importance. So here we'll be applying this TF-IDF. Fine. So TF-IDF score represents the relative importance of a term in the document and the entire corpus. Right? The corpus in the sense the whole data set. So it gives you the relative importance. It's not only related to a single document, it is related to the whole data set, which we call it as a corpus. So TF-IDF score is composed by two terms. The first computes the normalized term frequency, that is TF, and the second term is the inverse document frequency. It is computed as the logarithm of the number of documents in the corpus divided by the number of documents where the specific term appears, right? So both TF and TF-IDF can be computed using this our TF-IDF transformer. Fine. So here you can see we imported from sklearn TF-IDF transformer, right? And we applied on our vectorized train data. We call it as xtrain count. If you remember, here we have xtrain count, and on the data we are training it, we're converting it using this fit function. So now this is converted into TF-ID transform, right? So first we fit and then we transform it, right? So fit, we use the fit method. So our estimator, the data and method to fit our estimator, right? And secondly, we use transfer method to transfer a count matrix to TF-IDF representation, right? So first we fit the estimator and then we convert it. I hope TF-IDF conversion is clear. I've already spoke about it in the previous lecture also, but remember again, only term frequency may not give you the correct result. So we need to take the relative term frequency and we call it as TF-IDF, that is inverse document frequency. Fine. Now we have our features ready. Now we can train our classifier to predict the category. So we select k-nearer classifier, right? We create an object of this classifier by having number of neighbors is equal to 5. And then we train it using fit function, and we are passing the training data as well as the target. So this is the data and this is the class level related to this particular data. Now remember, both are numeric values. This is also numeric vector and this is also numeric vector. Fine. So now CLF is our training classifier. K1 classifier is already trained. Now let us see if we put it on a new document. Let us say we have a new document where we have the word God is love, OpenGL on GPU is fast. Now these are the two inputs which we want to check whether it gives us the right class label or not. Fine. So again, the same thing, we are using the count vect, then we are converting to TF-IDF, then we are building it on a model that is CLF, which are classifier we are predicting, putting into it. Fine. And then we are printing what it has predicted. So the doc, what it is predicting is God is love and predicted is what? The target category name is what? Religion Christian. Fine. OpenGL, it is giving the output as computer graphics. You can just see it. Right? Document predicted, it is printing the target name and whatever is the data. Fine. So it's working very nicely. But the problem here is what? Every time you have to use the count vectorizer, then you have to use TF-ID, then you have to build the model. So in case of scikit-learn, it allows something called pipelining, building a pipeline. So in order to make the vectorizer, transformer, classifier easier to work, scikit-learn provides a pipeline class that behaves like a compound classifier. You just need to put this, right? Once this is ready, now this is the object which will do all these things once we use it, right? So this is something called pipeline, which does all these things automatically once you define it, right? You need to define the pipeline once. It behaves like a compound classifier. So many steps are combined into one. Fine. So let's use this to evaluate the performance on the test data. Fine. Now you can see again that we are doing the importing NumPy, right? The test data, because we previously are trained our model using trained data. Now we want to check whether the classifier is working correctly or no. So we check it using test data. So we have test data and related categories of that test data. Again, shuffling is to random state find. Now we are storing the test data into doc test, and now we are predicting using text CLF. Now we are not used any vectorizer, we are not used any TF-ID, we are directly using the pipeline here. What is the name of the pipeline is text CLF. You can just see here. We have created a pipeline text CLF, it will do all these things, right? It will return directly the output. Fine. So I'll use text CLF.predict doc test. Right? And now we are checking the accuracy of the model, how well the model is doing. So what is actually is predicted, right? By this model, what is predicted and what is actual, right? So predicted, and we are checking the difference between the predicted and the actual, which we get in the form of 0.76%. So the accuracy is 76% of the classifier what we have trained. Fine. I hope the concept is a bit clear. Now, if we achieve 76% accuracy, so let's see if we can do better with the linear, with changing the number of k values, number of k nearest neighbors. So we can achieve some good accuracy. That is nothing but fine tuning your parameters so that you get the accurate result. I hope the example was clear. Here what we did, we used already inbuilt data set which is available on the internet. The size of the data set is too big, right? So we have made it very small out of 20,000 records, we have selected, I think, some 2,000 something, 2,500 something. I think you can get the count there now, right? And then what we did is we had the data set and we had the class label, right? We split this data set into testing and training, right? Then we used data pre-processing. We did the feature extraction by using this counter vectorizer, which converts the data into numeric form. And then we talked about term TF-IDF, that is, we are taking the relative importance of the words to become, so that they can become the feature. Now, what do we mean by the feature extraction? Features are what? These are the main words what we'll be using to train the classifier, right? So it will look at those words and then it will say, okay, it is matching the document. According the class label will be assigned. Another shortcut what we have here is we can go for a pipeline feature, which will do everything. It will do the counter vectorization, it will do TF-IDF conversion, it will do transform, it will train the model also. Okay, so that is the pipeline concept. So once the pipeline is ready, to directly give the test data and you check whether the model is trained correctly. Okay. So now this was the last lecture of K-nearest neighbor. Next lecture will talk about how do we plot the data, right? So we'll talk about matplotlib, right? Thank you. If you have any query, you can always comment or you can always mail me. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.